It really drove me to a dark place in my life, and I was really at a point where I was ready to end my life. And that's when I found my faith, because I had a talk with him. I had a meeting with God straight up. I said, God, I need you here right now. And if I'm not worth being here, you got to take me, because I'm ready to go. I got my bags packed up. It's all in my truck, and let's go. And he showed me. It was boom, boom, boom. He was just he brought me back. And what happened? What I realized was, because I didn't have a circle, because I was really just kind of like drawing myself inwards, I was kind of like isolating myself. And being isolated is not good when you're going through any tough stuff.
Mental health is something that's not talked about enough in the veteran community. Today's episode of Project Stars and Stripes, we are going to get with Mike Frazier. Not only is he a Coast Guard and Army veteran, but an entrepreneur. Watch me seed, but stay for a story. Let's get started.
Yeah, so my name is Mike Frazier. I am a military veteran. I served with the Coast Guard, and I got out small break in service, and then joined the Army. I spent just around about 12 years altogether, collectively, in the Coast Guard, the Coast Guard Reserves, and in the Army. In the Coast Guard, I did machinery technician. 9/11 happened. I was there during that, and that transitioned into a lot of different stuff. Changed the scope of the military and the way the Coast Guard works, for sure. Started doing law enforcement. Went to law enforcement training schools, and then jumped into a federal law enforcement deployable unit out of San Diego, and just deployed all over the world doing all kinds of cool stuff. And that kind of sparked my interest for kind of turning into a Rambo. I got out because I wanted to go to school to work on motorcycles. I went to Motorcycle Mechanics Institute because I wanted to be a pro rider and a pro motocross mechanic. And I realized that wasn't really feasible, and being a mechanic wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I joined the Army and went in as a Black Hawk mechanic and a crew chief. Did a big deployment with 3rd ID there in Savannah, Georgia. Got out of that, came back, and then assessed for 160th. Completed assessment training there, and did all the fun training courses for that, and became a crew chief for Charlie Company, 3rd Battalion in a civilian for 160th. Okay. I got out, been out for a while now. I've done a few different things. Worked on helicopters in the civilian side for quite a while. Worked for a government agency doing research and development for their military aircraft. And then kind of slowly started getting into wanting to be an entrepreneur and building my own business. So now I am a 100% business owner, and I run my own business, which is exterior cleaning. Pressure washing, soft washing, roof washing, windows, gutters, sealer paving, commercial, industrial type of work. So that's where I'm at now.
So how'd you end up going from, the only time I've ever seen somebody go from one branch to the other, it's normally like the Army to something else. It's never the Coast Guard or something to the Army.
It never is.
How did that happen? What changed?
Well, actually, believe it or not, I wanted to go back to the Coast Guard. I got out on good terms, and they were like, well, there's a long wait list. And I remembered when I joined the Coast Guard, it took quite a bit to get in there. And at that point, they were just overlogged and backlogged with a bunch of people. And they said that, well, we want to monitor you for a year, and we'll kind of put you on a wait list and see how it goes. And I'm like, nah, I'm ready to go right now. So I went to start looking around, and I talked to the Army recruiter, And actually originally wanted to go in as a 11 Bravo, go to Ranger, go to RIP, go through all that stuff, go SF and go Delta. Kind of had this whole picture of everything. And when I walked into the recruiter, he wasn't giving me any combat related anything. He was like all mechanical kind of type stuff or an MP. And I was like, nah. So I was walking out, and as I was walking out, getting ready to go home, I seen a picture of a Black Hawk, and I said, if you want me to work on anything, if you can get me something to work on that, I will. He goes, okay, hold on. So he's jumping on the phone, on the computer, and within a couple minutes, he goes, I can make that happen. I said, okay, you got me. So that's how it all went down.
So from once you joined in Army Aviation, you eventually went to the Special Operations side.
Yes.
How did that happen? How did that process work?
So when I went to Savannah with Third ID, all of my neighbors in the area were all pretty much guys from 160th, and they were all like, hey man, why don't you come over? I'm like, well, I'm only here for a few weeks. I'm supposed to go over with Third ID. I gotta go over there with them. They're like, well, when you come back, come talk to us. So I'm like, all right. So I did, and everyone kept bugging me, and all my friends were over there. So I said, why not? So I talked to a guy, and he said, all right, we'll come give you an interview. And I had a couple guys that I still talk to this day. They came and gave me an interview while I was working on a aircraft. I was doing maintenance one day, and they're just talking to me, just super calm, chill, and just asked me some generic questions about aircraft and what I like to do in my family life. And they said, all right, well, you'll probably be a good fit. We'll go and talk to the boss, and you'll know shortly.
Okay. And then, so you did how much time in aviation? How many years?
From like a little over 6 years in Army Aviation.
And why did you get out?
I got medically retired.
Okay. Was it like an accident, or was there?
So there was a chain of accidents that went through, and I had some rough landings, some just a wear and tear and abuse. Okay. And I was in South America, come back from a trip in South America, and we did a lot of moving heavy stuff. And after that, unfolding an aircraft, holding a blade pole to unfold a helicopter, I couldn't do it. And I kind of thought I just pulled something in my back, and I tried for quite a while to just play it off and like, yeah, it's just a pulled muscle. And I wound up not working out. It didn't go away. And I was doing a training flight with a couple pilots. They were training a pilot to do some stuff with the Rescue Randy. And the Rescue Randy's, it's pretty heavy, but I was kind of a meathead back then, and I could throw them around pretty good. And it took me a really long time to throw them back in the aircraft. And they were like, man, are you good, Frazier? It's taking a long time. What's going on? And then I realized I needed to talk to a doctor. And the very first visit, when I went to go talk to the doctor, he's like, yeah, it's unfortunate for you guys. It's probably going to be med board. So that whole process actually put a really bad taste in my mouth. But I mean, things happen for a reason.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people in the military don't get, especially I think aviation specifically, if you're a flyer, people kind of hide their medical problems just in general because they don't want to be on a downslip. They want to fly, they want to do the mission, they want to do whatever. So the body gets really beat up over time, and then eventually it becomes where like you have to kind of do it. And then once the process starts, you just don't know where it's going to evolve to.
Oh, yeah, that's 100% it. And I've talked with a lot of people since me getting out in my, not only just my physical healing process, but my my mental, my spiritual growth and change since then. Because it really took me to a dark place. My whole world pretty much got flipped upside down. And getting out of the military, thinking you're just going to, you're on the downward slope after, 12 years of, going to a retirement to just, hey, you can't be here anymore. You got to go figure something else out. I don't know what you're going to do, but you can't be here. And talking with different people, once the higher up of the food chain you go, or the higher the tip of the spear you go to, the more you don't want to lose your spot, because you've got your security clearance, you've got all this training, you've got all this knowledge, all this time, effort, and energy you've put into qualifying for everything, keeping currencies on everything. We would constantly be out and gone. We're doing qualifications for ourselves, doing combat missions, and then coming back and then doing, qualifications for everybody, all our customers. So it's just nonstop. And once you get to that point, you can't just say, hey, I'm tired or I'm hurt. Can someone else go do this? Because that's that next person's break, or there's a cycle and there's a process to it, and you don't want to screw up your brothers and your friends and everyone that you train with, and you don't want to look weak, because you're an alpha male in a full spectrum alpha male world, and that's all it is. And one, you don't want to be weak, but two, you don't want to be the weak link. You want to be an asset, not liability. And that was the biggest thing, is talking to people, is you don't want to lose your spot. And then the instant you do, it's just a whole cycle of, well, if you go see someone, then you got to be put on medication. And as a flyer, if you're on any type of medication, that's a no-go. And then if you're not flying, then there could potentially be an issue of, well, if you're not flying anymore, how long is it going to take? And then we need to get someone else here, and then we just might as well replace you. And then, there goes your security clearance. You don't need to know all this stuff anymore. And then it's just a snowball of just events that can happen, potentially happen, and you're constantly thinking about that. So you're carrying that weight with you all the time.
Oh yeah. And then when a downslip does happen, it not only affects like the mission and the people around you, but also your pay.
Yeah.
And like whatever quality of life that you're living, because combat pay, you'll have just flyer pay, you'll have all these different hazardous pays, and when you don't have that, well, now bills might get tighter. You're failing for the team. You might fail or you might feel like you fail for your family. Whatever that looks like, I'm sure, especially at 12 years, in my mind, that would be extremely hard on my mental state. And I don't know where or how I would pull out of that. And do you have any really, do you have any kind of like strategy that helped you or was it like just your brothers around you that helped you? You had a sounding board that you could talk to, or was it you went to church and you found whatever? I don't know really your process, but was there something that helped you through that 12 years?
No. When I went through all of that, it was like my life was just collectively coming to an abrupt implosion. So with that, a marriage was kind of falling apart. A house, a career, not being able to pay all that stuff. Like, what do I do? What do I go? So I just did what I always do. I just packed it up and I was the statistic, veteran. The GWAP veteran that's, I'll just put it in my rucksack and I'll just deal with it as it comes. And it got to a point where I couldn't deal with it, because there were so many things that just kept coming at me at life. I would I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it later. I'll do this. I got to figure this out. And just collectively, I just started driving myself into the dirt. And I was basically kind of like crawling at that point. And so much came of it over a period of time. I become, divorced. I was jobless. I was homeless. I made too much money to get qualified for any type of assistance, but I couldn't make enough to get into a place to rent. And it was really weird, like sleeping in my truck or sleeping in different places. And I was fortunate to have some friends and some people that had to help me out at times, but it's, as an alpha male, it's hard to accept that, and it's hard to stay there. You definitely don't want to stay there. And it really drove me to a dark place in my life, and I was really at a point where I was ready to end my life. And that's when I found my faith, because I had a talk with him. I had a meeting with God straight up. I said, God, I need you here right now. And if I'm not worth being here, you got to take me, because I'm I'm ready to go. I got my bags packed up. It's all in my truck, and let's go. And he showed me. It was boom, boom, boom. He was just he brought me back. And what happened? What I realized was, because I didn't have a circle, because I was really just kind of like drawing myself inwards, I was kind of like isolating myself. And being isolated is not good when you're going through any tough stuff. And being gone, and the way like my life and my childhood and the way my family dynamic is just, I've always kind of like been the black sheep. So it's embarrassing talking about stuff like that to people, and I didn't have a lot of close people at the time that I thought would want to hear stuff like that, because no one wants to hear I'm having a hard time with this. And if you don't know how to deal with it and you don't know how to talk about it, it can just compound things worse and make things worse. But what I found out was that I had some serious psychological trauma that had just built up over time that I needed to start unpacking, and I didn't really fully understand that until I finally went and talked to a doctor in Southern Oregon, and she pretty much really helped save my life. And she just did that by asking me a series of questions and letting me sit with it for a while. And it was amazing to be able to experience that and see that, and then want to change and not be that way anymore. So I wasn't the abrasive, just angry, bitter person anymore. I was becoming more aware of my surroundings and other people, and I wanted to share with people. I wanted to talk to people, and I wanted to interact, and I didn't know how to do that. So I had to relearn. So it was constant, books, audio books, reading, in the Bible. I was plugging myself in with the church and getting to know some people, and things just started growing, and my mindset started changing, and realizing once I kind of got over that hump where I could kind of pull myself out of the dirt and see, what was going on, I noticed that there were so many other people just like me, even worse. Yeah. And that's when I realized, misery loves company. And, you don't need to constantly just sit there and say, woe is me, but you can share your struggles with other people with compassion, and you can listen to what they have going on, and you can share with them in your life what you've been through. And a lot of people that see these alpha guys in like special operations communities, dudes, they just see them as big tough warriors, and they're so gung-ho, and that's where everybody wants to be. But no one really talks about the dark side of it. And just up until recently, maybe like five or so years ago, there hasn't really been a whole lot of talking about like mental health, and it was always taboo. I mean, it still pretty much is, but until you go through it and you hit rock bottom, man, it changes your life. So taking those steps and taking those things to heart from other people that are experiencing those things before you have those hard times, man, that's really where it's at. And then being able to help other people is huge, and that really helped my heart and my mind, my spirit, and just my whole well-being, is just being able to share my stuff and help other veterans and other people that are struggling with things, because everyone's going through something.
Yeah, that's a powerful fucking story, brother. Seriously, yeah. Like, I don't know if you saw it, but I was getting a little teary.
Oh man, I spent a lot of time. Well, for a long time, I didn't have emotions. I couldn't. I didn't cry. There was a time where my pops, he was passing away from cancer, and he told me about that, and I didn't cry from that, but I cried because of something else, because I was angry at something, and I realized, man, my emotional state is completely out of whack if I can't even give the proper emotions, and that's what really kind of drove me to want to go talk to somebody. I'm like, there's something seriously wrong with me. Like, I can't just sit here and just talk to myself the entire time, because talking to myself it ain't good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I do. I follow you on social media, and I know that you were talking about spiritually, but you also have other outlets. You do not combatives, but jujitsu, right?
Yeah, and actually it started from combatives. So when we went through our selection process or Green Platoon, portion of it was combatives, and you have to be qualified to be an instructor, a certain level of combatives. And I love that. And I remember that after I got out, one of the things after I started kind of like my journey of growth, because of my back and because of where I was at, I was really out of shape. I wasn't the beast that I was anymore. And I was gross and lethargic. And I was thinking, man, I'm sitting here looking so pathetic. And if, my brothers that, have passed away that I helped put in the ground, if they were here and they had one more day, they wouldn't be sitting here, on a couch eating chips. They'd want to go out and live life. And like, I owe that to them. And then boom, like it just started changing, and I started doing stuff. I couldn't do what I used to, but I started exploring different avenues. One of the things was I followed this gentleman on social media. Same thing. Come to find out, he's from the Night Stalker organization as well. His name is Brian Marvin. He's a black belt, and he does a lot of cool stuff. He's been in the industry for a really long time. And I just followed him for a while. I'm like, man, that's pretty rad. That's kind of like the combative stuff that we used to do. So I reached out to him on social media. I'm like, hey, man, I see you doing this stuff. I'm from, 3rd Battalion, 160th. I'm beat up. My back's trash, but I would really like to try to get into jiu-jitsu. Do you think I would be able to do it? He goes, oh, man, we get guys that do jiu-jitsu that have no, they're missing legs, arms, they have spinal fusions. He goes, jiu-jitsu is a gentle sport, but he goes, if you find the right place, it'll be good. He goes, I would highly recommend trying it out. Go find a place that's around you. Go talk to the coach or the instructor. Let them know what you have going on, and then try it out. See what they think. See what they say. And I did. I tried out in Southern Oregon is where I started, Lotus Academy, and the guys were awesome. And the very first day I went in there, I'm just like, man, this is where I need to be. This is awesome. This is what I want to do. So I've been doing it off and on. I've been more consistent with it, I would say, over this past 6 months. But it's been so good for me in my mental state, just staying active and being able to do something. But it's not like killing my body and making me worse.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So now walk us through this piece of it. Now that you're out of the military, you kind of get through the slump. Mm-hmm. Now you have a business.
Yep.
How did that evolve from the military to your business?
I've always dreamed of like having my own thing. I've always, had that vision of like, man, I want to do something, but I had no idea really what it is I needed to do. Always wanted to do something and have something for myself and have a legacy, but I was just like, I'll put it off later. And as time went on, I actually wound up getting pretty much my dream job out of the military. Before I started my business, I was working as a civilian contractor for the government, working on basically kind of like research and development for aircraft, weapon systems, radios, communication. And it's kind of cool because I got to work on aircraft. I got to fly still. I didn't have to do the crazy military component and travel and get shot at, but I still got to do the aircraft maintenance and fly, which was super awesome. And I got a lot of flight time and experience doing. So it got to a point where I kind of realized I needed to do something for myself, because there were some things that just didn't really match my beliefs and values. And I wanted to be able to promote more of kind of like practice what I preach kind of type thing. And I wanted to build and foster an environment to where I can help and grow and train others and be a mentor for other people the way I always wanted it. And I don't see a lot of, and I had no idea how to do it, but a situation just came up and just kind of like out of the blue, I'm like, I had to do something. And I started kind of looking around, and I needed something that was low cost, low overhead, and a low startup. And I out of doing everything in the military, cleaning has been kind of like just one of those things where I just kind of like zone out. It doesn't matter if I'm working on a diesel engine, a boat, an aircraft, land vehicle, whatever I was working on, the cleaning aspect, it was just, I would just put in my music and I would zone out. So I was just like, and I started like pressure washing my house and doing my own things. And I was like, okay, I can see this, but it took an extremely long time to wash my house with a Lowe's pressure washer. It took me like 7 hours to wash my house for the first time. And I was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do it. And I found it out, and I built my own system. I built my own stuff, and I've just progressively been more efficient with everything, and being able to take that experience to my customers and show them, hey, you have a house, you have a property, you have a commercial property or a business that needs to be cleaned. This is my process, and I'm extremely detail oriented with how I clean things, and I want to ensure your property is taken care of while I'm cleaning it. And there's things that we do differently or things that I do differently to ensure that, just because I have that mechanical knowledge and background. And it's not because I'm any better than anybody else, that I just have different experiences with different aspects of electrical, mechanical, surfaces, cleaning, chemicals, components, PPE, wearing the proper gear and doing certain things. So it helps me build what I have. So I've just been slowly growing that and being more efficient each time I go.
That's awesome. And a couple more questions before we kind of end this, but
Yep.
You want to kind of explain your logo, because it seems like it incorporates some of your military stuff, but also your business itself.
All right, can you see that?
Yeah. I'll pull it up.
Cool.
There you go.
Boom. All right. So this is my logo. Actually, I just got it trademarked. I just finished that a couple months ago, so I need to get that kind of like updated with a proper marking on it, just to let everybody know that that's my logo. But I wanted to incorporate things that I've brought, and learned from my past, my aviation career. I'm extremely proud of that, and I loved every minute of it. And it's a huge part of who I am, and where I've come from and where I'm going. But I thought it was kind of neat to have like a guy hanging off of a black special operations Black Hawk, washing a house. And I get a couple people asking me if I ever washed a house, off of a Black Hawk or a roof, and I haven't, primarily because it would cost me an astronomical amount of money to repair the homes and the shingles and the roof and the surrounding areas. There'd be a lot of collateral damage to do that, so I'm not going to do that. But I designed the logo, and it just stuck. It made sense. I worked with tier 1 customers, being in the special operations community as a night stalker. Our customers were tier 1 customers, and I kind of took that with me. And so pretty much I have a different type of customer that I take care of, but I still think of them, in a similar fashion. They need something, they want something, they want a service, and I'm going to take care of them from start to finish. I'm gonna put a good product for them and make sure that the equipment is good, my training is good, my knowledge is good, I'm sharp, and I'm gonna get them from point A to point B, no questions asked.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing, just like mission statement, and I'm sure just by having that logo, because you have a trailer and stuff, and it's on your truck, that there's probably a conversation starter as well, just especially being in this area, in the Hampton Roads area.
Yeah.
So has that brought any additional customers? Or at least curiosity?
Oh, it absolutely has. I get people, like if I'm washing a house or something like that, people will walk by, they'll take pictures of it, and they'll come asking me like, what is this? Because they see this helicopter on there, and then they start reading the rest of the stuff that's on there. And then I've actually had people, like, while I'm driving, call me while I'm driving to and from. They're like, hey, I'm from, your community. I was one of, the customers of you guys. I need this service. I had a guy actually I walked into Costco one day and I had a gentleman call me. He goes, "Hey man, I just seen your truck. It's super cool. Do you do roof washing?" I said, "Yeah, I absolutely do." He goes, "Perfect." He goes, "I got this roof and I need it washed and you'd be the perfect guy for it." And I said, "Awesome. Well, give me just a little bit and I'll call you back and we'll get something set up." And I went and took care of him, and come to find out he was a customer of ours. I'm not sure if I actually, have personally interacted with him before, but we have that connection. And being here in this community, there's so much military, there's so many heroes. So one of the things that I definitely wanted to do is give back to the community, because I know that life, it's tiring, it's taxing, and it's tough to be able to come and spend that extra time washing your home. So I like to give back. Every year I'll give back to I call it a hero category: active military veterans, first responders, law enforcement, and teachers, because my wife's a teacher and I understand that teachers are unsung heroes and they definitely deserve more. So I'll give back to the community. I'll do a free house wash for some of those. Sometimes I'll do drawings to or raffles for people to help engage with me and the community, to help me find more of those heroes. That way I can find out if there's more people that I can help out and wash, and we'll do a free house wash with it.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
all right,
man.
last 2 questions and then I'll let you go.
All right.
What, out of all your years and your experience just in military and outside, what advice would you give to a younger generation?
What advice would I give to a younger generation? I would say first and foremost, always seek to be better. Always seek to learn more and grow more. And it might not necessarily be in one type of classroom. It might not necessarily be in one type of book. It might come from a different source. But if you have something on your heart and on your mind that you may want to pursue or go after, start looking at it. Start thinking about it, start reading it, start doing some research. We have so much information these days that it's just instant. There's so much instant information that you can get and learn and grow. YouTube has tons of videos. There's so much content and so much stuff out there that you can gather some information on to learn and grow. And there's so many possibilities out there. And that's one of the biggest things. And the second thing I would definitely say is, upon growing and learning, your faith is a big part of it. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my faith in Jesus Christ and giving my life to Him and growing. Sure, I might still be around. I might be doing something. I don't know. I don't think that I would even actually be alive today if it wasn't for me having those conversations with myself and putting my faith in Him, and then allowing Him to just encircle me with people and love and grace and kindness. And it's just really helped push me to that next level, and it helped pull me out of a hole, and it helps me not be just in that hole by myself. And there's so many people struggling with so many different things, and the world's a crazy place. The world's a dark place, and I've put so much effort, energy, and time and expectations into people, into places, and things, and money, and experiences, and none of those has filled me. Each one has left me with some sort of hole, and in my heart, in my side, and that's just the way life is going to go. But if you put your faith and your trust in God and in your faith, man, it takes that weight and that expectations off other people, and you can allow other people to be them. It allows you to be more of your true, authentic self. And if you want to take that knowledge and you want to grow and you want to do something with that faith, and you will grow exponentially.
Awesome. So, if you were 18-year-old you, would you join the Army again, or the Coast Guard, or just military in general?
Today, I don't know. I honestly, I couldn't say yes like I would maybe 10 years ago. Honestly, if I've had family members say, hey, so and so wants to join this. I know it's a completely different world, and being in the military is completely different. It's an important role. It's great to be able to learn and go just take the world by your, the horns, and just experience life. I think it is the greatest way. How the military and everything is running today, I honestly can't say. So I couldn't confidently give a yes, I would recommend it. It was a great experience. I'm glad that I did it. If I had to go do it again to prevent someone else from having to do it, I 100% would do it. I would put my life on the line every time, because I could do it and I did it well. And I knew that there's a lot of people out there that can do what I did. And it's not just to toot my own horn, but there are some people that are made for it and some people aren't. And I was made to do it for a little bit.
Okay. And then this pretty much wraps everything up, but how can people find you or your business if they want to get a hold of Tier 1?
You can find us online through our social media platforms, Tier 1 Services, Facebook, Instagram. We have a LinkedIn page as well. You can find us also on the website. Our website is www.tier-1.biz, and you can reach us there. You can reach us. Social media is probably going to be the best spot in the website.
All right, cool. That wraps up everything. I'll see y'all later.
Peace. Appreciate it, brother.